Get you.
All right, beautiful morning. Welcome to the pod. Our big, our one of our biggest guests, one of our one of our big brothers is in the building.
Yo.
Mr. Isaac Kushi, but many people call him Libby. Welcome to the pod.
All right.
It's good to be back.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time I was here was 3 years ago plus, and it was an interesting discourse. So discussing with you, not even on podcast alone, has always been amazing. And to my fellow brother here, George Gani.
Uncle Lips.
Don't do this to me, though. Please. Please don't do this to me.
Why do everybody tend to attach the uncle tag to calling you? Like it kind of feels disrespectful to even call you Libby.
Well, I think basically it has to do with a phenomenon that I cannot explain myself.
But
because
you get that a lot.
Yes, I get that a lot. But the truth is that most of elderly people around me, once they hear my age, they don't believe. They believe I'm older than who I am. And the younger people, especially those that are very, very young, tend to see that I'm actually claiming to be older than who I am. So you can see the disparity in this.
Yeah.
So sometimes I begin to
Why
wonder.
is that? Is it the way you dress or the way you carry yourself or the way you interact with people? What is responsible for that?
Yeah, actually, I think I can trace it back to my childhood days. I never walked with my age mates in terms of we can actually gist. We
You
can
have
actually
older
talk.
friends.
Yes, I have older friends. I think even when I was 10, most of my friends were between 15 to 16. So some of them, when they come to looking for me, my dad would be like, "Who are your friends? These ones?" No,
Yeah,
they are not your
I get,
friends.
I
They are
get.
not your friends. So with time, I started having G's conversation with older peoples. Even now, as I can tell you that most of people that we talk, hang out with are people in their 50s and 40s some. So, and me, I'm in my 20s.
You're 40s.
I'm in my and I'm in my 20s. So, yeah. So you should understand. You should understand this.
You're very, very late 20s.
I don't know, maybe early. Tell the best.
Nah, man, nah.
honestly.
But that has actually hit us into our discussion even.
Yes, yeah.
So you growing up for you,
Yes.
we can understand that you grow up with people that are much older than you as your friends.
Yes.
And then obviously you have brothers at home.
Yes.
Looking at our society now,
Yes.
there's a lot of things that is happening to young people amongst their peers.
Yes.
Things that we have actually had a discussion about earlier on.
Yes.
And we felt like there's need to have different perspective, different contribution from other people. What we discussed was about young people being influenced by their peers and also by the thing that has become norm within our society, which we don't even understand where the wave came from, where it's heading, and why these things have turned out to be like this. So we're having talk about cybercrime, how it has become a norm in our society. Also, what they call a hookup,
Yeah.
right?
A deodorized name for prostitution.
That is
It's getting started.
It's getting started. So actually, what we were saying the other day about people being privileged, in terms of their background,
Yeah.
does that actually help or shape them in their decisions as they go on in life? Some people say yeah, it has. Some people have blamed it on the parents and the way they have actually impacted in their in their children, and also the way the children go out there to face the world and the way they respond to whatever it is that the world has for them. So now I know you are very conversant with young people because you actually interact with them.
Yes.
Children that were kids, they have grown up, and then you see the kind of lifestyle
Yes.
that actually play out. So
Mm.
how do you respond to the way you came up and the way you were seeing your big brothers then, and then now
Yes.
the way you see children,
Yes.
the way they interact and the way they behave, and how the society has turned everybody to be?
All right. Very, very interesting discourse and very good question. But actually, your question is very, very broad. You know, it's a deep question, and
I'm gonna take it slowly.
yes,
You can take it
yes,
slowly.
it's a
That
very
is I was trying to
Yeah,
summarize
yeah, an
everything.
overview.
Yeah.
Yes. When I mean very broad, first of all, you have to understand some things, and some of these things is about morality and ethics.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
Yes, sometimes you have to understand it all boils down to morality and ethics. So this is what is going to be the center of my discourse today. My
Okay.
discourse is going to be about morality and ethics.
Okay.
So first of all, we have to know what exactly is morality. Morality is a philosophy that deals with characters, values, norms of a certain people over a period of time. Whereas
Over a period of time.
yes.
Okay. Subject to change.
Of course.
All right.
Yes. And it's certain people. That means it's not everybody.
It's not absolute.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you talk about what is ethics. Ethics is a philosophy that deals with what is right, wrong, good, and bad.
Okay. What is right, wrong, good or
and
bad?
Yes. So while morality definitely has to do with character, behavior, norms, and values of a certain people at a given period of time, over
Okay.
a certain period of time.
Okay.
So when you look at morally driven societies and ethically driven societies, they are two different things entirely.
Okay.
Now, ours in Africa is a morally driven society.
Okay.
Our society has to do with herd mentality. What happens generally, the concept of communality,
Okay.
communalism. So growing up as a child, I just laid down the background of the discourse.
Yeah.
Growing up as a child, I believe it's a combination of ethics and morality.
For you.
Yes.
Okay.
My dad clearly spells to me what is good and bad. And the types of ethics, we have what we call situation ethics.
Mm-hmm.
We have what we call demographic ethics. Demographic ethics has to do with religion ethics, cultural ethics, and then the last one is professional ethics.
Yeah.
All right. So now, growing up for me is the combination of the two.
Okay.
Combination of ethics and morality. We understand what are our values, what is our own norms, and what me as a person, what is my character, what is my behavior. So I come from a Christian conservative home. So my morals is driven by Christian values
Okay.
as a child. respect for elders, respect for constituted authorities, honor to who is due,
Mm.
contentment, prayerful life, and so much of you.
Respect.
Mm-hmm.
Equa or cooking?
It's cooking
Okay.
cooking to be precise.
Cooking.
Yes.
All right.
Mm. So now
Mm.
there's a paradigm shift. You talk about technology.
Yeah.
Information dissemination has actually grown out of proportion. Before, gatekeeping of information is very, very simple.
Yeah.
People have lesser access to the internet. So where you get information from is the TV, the radio station, and the newspapers. And I grew up learning to read using the newspaper. I told them all this in the previous podcast. So as a child,
Mm.
I started reading newspaper, Concord magazine of Abiola, since when I was small.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So that shaped my life. That shaped me to be a reader, an early reader. So now you have a different parenting entirely. That's why, because of the internet. Now, if you are looking for information before, you have to go to the library to go and look for a book, what have you. So today, if you're looking for information on your hands, you have it.
You query it.
Yes, within
A few seconds.
seconds.
0.0
seconds, you're going to have those information
thousands of results.
right in your own hands.
Yeah.
Now, there is lesser vetting on that. So if I'm carrying a certain newspaper, I cannot carry Hint. My dad will not allow me. If you know Hint magazines, then
Yeah.
they have some
Hint.
softcore pornographic display on that.
Yeah.
So now on
Fact.
on an internet now, your parent is not there to checkmate what you're reading. As much as there is a parental code to what of you, but how many people know about this? That actually on Google they can put a parental guidance to what the children can access on their system. It happens in the developed countries.
Yeah.
And here, I'm not sure. I heard there is, but I've never seen it. I don't even know how it operates here.
There is, but parents don't actually
Even
make
know.
use of it.
Yes, so they don't even know. So
Mm.
a child at early age can actually type it. And I like what he said, cybercrime. He calls it crime.
Yeah.
It's a crime. So let's not deodorize it. Let's not try and make it look like it's something that is not a crime. It is a crime. So we have to understand what is cybercrime itself, how is cybercrime done, and who is affected by cybercrime. So I believe you're the one to lay down.
You said?
I believe you're the one to lay down those discourse for us. So I just told you the kind of background we had then,
Yeah.
what we have as the reasons for a paradigm shift. So I understand something. Every society is driven by conservatives and liberals. And among liberals,
Fact.
there are progressives. Among liberals, there are centrists. And among liberals, there are far left. So you can see there are three sets of liberals. Then you go to conservatives. Among conservatives, you have centrists and you have far right conservatives. So far right conservatives are people who believe what was given to them for thousands of years must be upheld, regardless of how the society has moved. Whereas centrist conservatives are people who believe we can still make progress, but still holding on to our traditional values without compromising them. While the normal conservatives are people that are actually conservatives, yes, we can adapt, we can come back, we can move forward.
But the major thing is you have that belief.
Okay, now then you have the liberals. Okay, the liberals are people that are actually opting for change. They are always opting for change based on the available resources, available circumstances, and available situations.
They can adapt.
They can adapt. Then you have the progressives. The progressives, liberals, are people who actually are not wanting to revisit the past. They always want forward ever things. Then the far left. The far left are people that are progressive liberals that it's either you're for us or you're not. In fact, they cancel conservatives. They believe even conservatism should not even exist. Do you understand? So
they are more like how would I put it?
so
Extremists.
yes. So yes, extremists in both sides there are. That's the far right are the extremists of conservatism, and the far left are extreme of liberalism. So I grew up from a conservative Christian home. As I told you, the first thing I told you was I come from a conservative Christian home, and I still uphold some values. Now, growing up, so many of those values are not being upheld by me again.
Okay. So you switched?
No, not directly. I switched from being a Christian. No.
No, I'm not saying that. Conservative.
Yes. I realized that actually what happened 2,000 years ago to be upheld exactly same in today's world is basically almost impossible. Like if Paul can travel on donkeys or trek to cities to go and preach to people, it's going to be very stupid of you to do the same thing that you are trekking because he trekked then. Because now you have cars. It isn't your it isn't your work. You understand? So you don't uphold previous values seem to be imposed exactly same. So I'm more of a centrist when it comes to religion. But culturally, there is a complete paradigm shift in me. Paradigm shift.
Where do you identify?
In terms of what? My sexual orientation?
No. Cultural.
Right. Culturally. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you he, her?
Okay. Culturally, I believe I'm a conservative. Centrism, especially from on the right side, not on the left side. So culturally, I believe there are things that are actually adoptable. There are things that are not.
Okay. So you're still conserving those cultures, beliefs from those years?
Okay. Now let me tell you something. I think there is no globally acceptable definition of what morality is. That's why I told you, I defined morality for you first in the first place. That morality is a philosophy that deals with character, norms, behavior, and values of a certain people over a period of time. Whereas ethics has to do with good, bad, evil of a people accepted by them. Do you understand? So presently now, as I can confidently tell you that me, I'm more for centrist when it comes to issue of culture, because there are cultures that I have to uphold. Okay? Things like let me tell you something. I think there are only two things that are globally acceptable.
Which are?
One, which is murder as being wrong. Murder and theft, stealing. There is no culture on earth that encourages stealing. There is no culture on earth that encourages murder.
Likewise, religion.
Yes. Religion is a culture. Because if you define what a culture is a way of life for people over a period of time. So religion falls under culture, but culture is not religion. Culture is not religion.
Religion falls under culture.
Yes, but culture
is not religion.
Yes, because I can hold up to it, because religion has a certain doctrines.
It's also a way of life.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said it's under culture, but culture is not religion, because there is no promise of an afterlife or anything in cultures.
That's another topic.
Yes. So like I just told you, there is no globally acceptable definition of what morality is. What is moral in this society can be amoral in that society. Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of religion, cultures, do they have their own separate moralities?
Of course. There's even situational morality.
Situational.
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
Explain that, please.
Okay. It has to do with a situation whereby You act based on available resources on ground, based on available information you have, and based on availability of variables
Okay.
to choose. Okay, now, the only time whereby killing is always permitted is on self-defense. But wanton killing is unacceptable. So now, if you're in a situation whereby somebody comes to kill you and you kill the person back in trying to leave, there is no anything amoral here. It's a situational morality.
Except on the ground of, okay, you are using a weapon that is greater than
the person coming
person's
to
own.
kill you. Do you understand? And if there is an established fact that actually he came to take up your life, and definitely
it can be waived.
Definitely it would. Now, the reason why I told you about theft is that globally, the cultures, everything, even before the coming of religion here in Africa, of any foreign religion, even our own traditional religion, they don't encourage theft. If you carry something without somebody's consent, it's theft, it's stealing. Do you understand? So sometimes I don't need to call you a thief before I've labeled you a thief. If I say Lemuel goes about carrying people's things without their consent, I already call you a thief without even using the word thief on you.
Yeah.
Do you understand? When you take up people's life, you're already a murderer without even being called.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not about calling the exact word. The deed is what counts. It's what you define. So that's why I'm talking about relativism in morality.
Okay, I think I've heard something like first degree murder, second degree murder. Can you shed more light on that?
Okay, you see, in administration of criminal justice system varies across the world. Do you understand? So every society has its own administration of criminal justice system. So like our own, like it was in 2015 that became like an act. So me not being a lawyer, I'm not very, 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 very deeply rooted on issues of crime that involves killing or not. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? What about the same thing? What I want to make you understand is that if there is large mass killing, it could be homicide, it could be genocide, it could be whatsoever you want to call it, either due to communal clash or whatever.
Suicide.
Yes. So I don't think there is what we call collateral damage at the end of it. Even when you make arrest, at the end of it, the damage has been done. Lives have been lost. So the only thing now to do is to ensure that the people who have done it, if they are apprehended, it will serve as deterrent to intending murderers. So like I said, I'm not very deeply rooted on issues of first degree, second degree murder. I won't really go deeper into that because I'm not deeply rooted on that subject matter.
Okay. So I don't know, I skipped I stepped out. But I don't know if you guys have talked about the roles that parents play in morality as regards to their children.
Yes, we talked about it before you stepped out, and I told him the paradigm shift that has to do with situational morality. That's where situational morality comes in. Before we talk about gatekeeping, before information dissemination isn't as it is today. So I told him when I was small, I used to read newspapers, Concord magazine, Tell, and the rest. So my father knows the content inside before giving me. So today, parents don't know what's inside their children's phone when they view it. So checkmating is going to be very hard.
At what age do you feel like a child is supposed to be allowed a mobile phone?
Okay, like parental guidance has always been amongst Google. Do you get it? But then it behoves on the parents to go and know the code and do it. What do you call it? Nigeria is a signatory to international community. So that's why we have open pornographic content in our country. There are countries that don't have. Do you understand? Like, that's a very conservative, we call it closed societies. So they ensure that they are not signatory to it, but Nigeria is. So we are the most religious country on earth, but because of the waiver that comes with us being signatory, we accepted it. Do you understand now the vibe? So checkmating it is going to be very difficult. So even if you say it is one thing to make laws, it is one thing to effect it. What are the mechanisms to effect it? Let me just tell you one thing now.
Okay.
Nigeria as a country has outlawed gay marriage. It's a crime. But believe you me, from 2014 till now, people who have been prosecuted, prosecuted, arraigned, and jailed for gay marriage are not even up to 100. Because what are the mechanisms to checkmate it? Do you go about people's room checking who are sleeping, who are doing what? Do you understand? So it is one thing to make law. It is another thing to establish mechanisms to checkmate it.
Yeah.
So checkmating it is a bigger priority. So now let's be realistic. People who can checkmate these things are families, homes, not the state. That's why you brought up families, how the role of families. And I like that question because the truth is that the state cannot do anything to checkmate it. So there are rules that it's only religious leaders that can perform. There are rules that only traditional rulers can perform. There are rules that only constituted authorities, which are the police, that can perform them in checkmating vices.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So in terms of issues of morality, when a child goes wayward, who is to be blamed?
Now, if I can be very, very sincere to you, I have to be sincere to myself. So if I can easily lie to you, it's because I lie to myself and I've accepted it as the truth. That's why I can conventionally or normally come and lie to you. So if I will be honest to myself, using myself as a sample, I can tell you that whatever bad thing I'm doing today, I can tell you categorically my parents have done their best. Of course.
Fact.
I have one of the best parenting, not because of anything, because I have seen my neighbors, I have seen how they were trained, and I can see my parents to have their lapses. But believe you me, today, what you teach your child at 3 years, at 2 years, you cannot teach him after 20 years the same thing. That means the child has not grown. So there are different levels of parenting. There are levels now. Your mom will not send you something. She won't send you because she has known you're grown if you're in her house today.
Yeah.
But she will send you 20 years ago doing those things. So actually, someone like me, now, I won't blame my parents. That is me. But however, I am not the benchmark. And I'm not going to be the yardstick for the discourse. We're looking at it from a larger perspective. Or am I not getting it right?
On point.
Yes. So there are actually parents who are very, very responsible for the wrongs that we have in the society today. And I can tell you that mothers have their role to play, fathers have their role to play. So when you see a child, there is a statistic that came out. About 87% of inmates in America come from a single mother home, single parent home that have been trained by their mothers. Most of the crimes, much of you.
From broken homes.
From broken homes and people who were grown by their mothers compared to those who stayed with their fathers. Now, what does that tell you? It's not that mothers are bad, but their training is always soft.
Yeah.
There is no caution like fathers. If you're doing something now, if your mother tells you don't do it, there is how she says it. Yeah. But there is how your father say, hey!
Or the moment you say, I will tell your daddy.
You get back to your senses. So this is a different kind of love. So
both is needed.
Both is needed to train a child. Then the next one is, and there are circumstances that leads to broken homes. That's not the topic for today now. And there are some broken homes are inevitable when lives are threatened. You can't help but to actually separate when lives are threatened. You understand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So actually, there are parents who are very responsible for their children. Poor attitude, lack of love, lack of checkmating, lack of a lot of things, absence of emotional support, absence of financial support, absence of guidance, absence of a lot of things can actually make the child go astray at a very younger age. Then again, there are also factors of children being influenced by the society, not just homes. The father will tell him, don't smoke. When he goes around, his best friend is a smoker. So smoke does harm to the lungs a lot. It has its own health effect. Even if you say it's morally right, I don't know, or morally wrong, but this is what we're talking about. So no matter what, the consequences is going back to you. Even if you're the one footing it, is going to affect your father mentally. So parents actually have a role to play in shaping their children. So also does the child. So also is the environment. Then the last person is the child himself. There are moments whereby you have to take responsibilities. Because you as somebody's child doesn't mean you're somebody's toddler the same.
Yeah. We actually said something like this the other day. Regardless of whatsoever training you get from your parents or from the environment or the society that you come from, everything boils down to you.
Yes.
It is your decisions, your choices.
Yes.
Because you can come from the same parents,
Yes.
two different individuals, and they turn out to be two different people.
Yes.
So it has to be the person at the end of the day.
Yes. Now let me tell you something. For progress, every society that progresses, do you know that they have less emphasis on morality? They have more emphasis on ethics than morality. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a practical example of what I'm just going to say so that I explain it to everybody to understand what I'm saying. Now, in Africa, for example, a child, somebody who is not productive, but is very, very morally sound, hope you know is seen as a better person. Somebody who doesn't go to work, he doesn't add any value to the economy, but he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't womanize. So to the society, he's a very nice man. Now, an ethically driven society is a society that deals with ethics. If you come out from your office or from your mechanic workshop, and you, at the end of the day, you want to go and rest at the bar, you drink your water and come back. So that society is more likely going to fight poverty than the other society.
Yeah.
So now you understand what I'm talking about. Morally driven societies and ethically driven societies. Now, a girl who is at school, who is going to school. Now, if this girl goes to school, probably she goes to club. And she goes to club. Probably she sleeps with somebody. Probably he gives her money. That's morally wrong. In the next morning, she went to classroom. She goes to school. She goes and open her shop. She has traded. Do you know that that girl is seen as bad person than the one who sits at home, doesn't go to farm, doesn't do anything, doesn't add any value waiting for her husband, and she doesn't do all those bad things?
She's contributing to economy.
Now.
So are you saying the hookup girls are actually contributing in a way?
Let me tell you something.
Because it's straight.
Let me tell you something. The argument is between prostitution and army, which is the oldest profession on earth.
Okay.
That has been the argument on planet Earth. Not even carpenters, not even builders, not even anything. a society has to be protected because wars have always been waging from time immemorial. And all of us are products of sex, whether we like it or not. So some through deviant, some through acceptable way.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So the truth is that it is hallucinating to assume that hookup or prostitution will end. It's a lie. It will never end. But the important thing is, how do we checkmate it? Do you understand?
Okay.
So personally, like me, I always tell people, it's all about checkmating something that matters most, not that thing itself.
Finding a balance.
Finding a balance. Like for example, now let me just say this thing to you, that if today there are thieves in Yelwa and all you do is talk about people should stop stealing. Stealing is a very bad habit. You employ everybody to talk about stop stealing, and when you go to bed at night, you leave the door open. Hope you know that's a stupid thing to do.
Sure.
Because you only have power to control your own thoughts and imagination. You can only influence others, but you cannot stop it. So those people will come in and steal. So what do you need to do? You need to tell people, lock your doors so that thieves will not come in. Lock your doors every time. Ensure that your cars are properly locked. Ensure that so that criminals will not have access. So at the end of it, you have more result than the person saying thieves should stop stealing. So we should be result-driven than just morally driven.
So in this context, what should we lock?
I talk about the crime now.
We're talking about
prostitution.
What should we lock in this context?
What we should lock now are the ladies. What I mean by locking them, by telling them, don't open your legs for this guy. Don't, instead of telling the guy, don't go.
Well, because the guy will go.
Definitely. He will. Believe me, he will.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. Okay, now let me tell you something. It happens to be that I'm talking about social issues where actually I'm a scientist.
It's fine.
You understand?
It's fine.
Now, I'm a biologist. I want to tell you this thing from biological aspect now. That the demand or hunt for everything, 85 to 90% lies on the male, not the female species.
Just for sex.
Not just sex, including resources.
Okay.
Men are hunters by default.
By default. Do you get it? So now what happens is that including sex, the male will always, now look at horses, look at donkeys, it's still the male that still go hunting for it. So as humans, we are also part of the system.
Yeah.
So to control it, now you have to control access. Do you get it? Because by default, now the female in what do you call it, in mammals, the female actually don't go about giving out. They only position themselves where the males can see them and the males will come. So it happens including humans. So if you as a man, you have the guts to ask as many, you'll be given. And she can allow access to many. So the idea of morality between man and woman is completely different, entirely.
Yeah.
It's entirely different. Like, let me tell you something. In marriage now, a very, very moral man, nice man is the one who protects and provides for his family. You understand? If his sexual aspect is not very, very good.
Not decent.
Thank you so much for the right word. If he can be tolerated more than the man that has a very decent sexual prowess, but has no ability to provide and protect, they won't take it.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So now, a woman again who has indecent sexual lifestyle but has resources will have lesser value amongst men.
Yeah. I get that.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the morality now varies. The problem is that when you want to equal morality and spread it all, that's why I said demographic morality as part of the moralities we're talking about.
Yeah.
There is morality for religion, there is morality for gender, there is morality for tribe, there is morality for everything. That's part of the different types. So there is situational, there is demographic, like I said.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from a larger perspective, you realize that actually morality varies in larger part. It's not just on the context of what I define as morality must be extended to this. Polygamy is a very, very alien concept to the Caucasians.
It's the best.
No, I'm talking about to the Caucasians.
Why is it the best?
I
Why?
don't know. I just.
I can actually give you some hint
Okay,
about.
you want to answer for him?
No,
Yes,
let him
please,
answer. No, you can answer actually. But okay, no. Caucasians have always embraced monogamy, not polygamy, and they spread it through their religion and the rest. But do you know that only about 15% of the Earth's population practice monogamy in its real sense?
Only 15%.
Yes, as being faithful and just.
No,
Practicing
listen. Do you understand? There are about 8 billion people on this planet, and polygamy is accepted in Hindu, Judaism, and Islam.
Yeah.
And in Africa, there are about half of about 100 and something million people are Christians, and there are more than how many percent of them being males? So, approximately about 200 million males that embrace monogamy in Africa. And let's say all of them adhere to it. That gives you less than 15% of the earth that have embraced it as males. Do you get what I'm saying? So, but then we live in a world whereby European, that's the Caucasian values, is seen as the superior and legitimate values. Now, we're not discussing whether it's right or wrong. I'm just trying to give you the acceptability range. I'm not discussing whether it's right or wrong. I'm talking about the range of acceptability and spread of it. So, all in biology, all the mammals, they practice polygamy. Hope you know.
My man.
No, hope you
All
know.
the mammals.
Yes, hope you know.
Okay. I'm knowing it for the first time.
Except higher primates like humans, that not all practice it.
Okay. Better.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Higher primates like humans, not
I
everybody.
never thought about it like that.
Practice. Their own is not just like the kind of what do you call it? You see, sometimes it's even polyandry, man. Not even just polygamy. The woman can actually have as many as she can as well.
Yeah.
In the other lower primates.
We have a
Lower
very
animals.
close example to us
Yeah, I've seen it so many times with goats.
on dogs.
Yeah.
Good. So now, in all of this, let me tell you something. The truth is, socially, the male, in all of this category, there is no, what we call parenting is actually by parenting. 92% of all the mammals, again, I can tell you can go and check, apart from penguins and humans, are the only people that involves by parenting. All the parenting is by parenting, which is the female. The female is responsible for birth and nurturing their offspring. The only thing the male does is to just release his sex gamete. And that's all. So he doesn't care how they do, how they behave. So you need a system, you need a social system whereby men have to be involved. That's where patriarchy comes from. So it's a social order whereby men have to be contributing to the development of the child. The reality is that the woman naturally has a natural proclivity to the child more than to the husband. It's a natural phenomenon. It happens. Have you ever seen birth? How she nurture her child?
Yeah.
Like chicken now. Just come. Now, have you ever seen the father close to the child?
No, he's a hunter.
Probably don't know who the father is.
Now, because we are higher animals, we have higher brains than them. I'm not trying to equal our thinking faculty with them. Then we brought in a social system whereby the man has to be fully involved in it. So before you give somebody responsibility, you must give him headship. You understand? So that's where the man comes in as the leader, as the head. So that's the only thing that makes him want to contribute, because he's the head. Because naturally, you can see a man has a natural propensity towards leading.
Yeah.
So you cannot actually provide for whom you cannot control. You cannot actually protect whom you can't control. A governor now, him being the head, has securities that tells him, Oga, don't go there. And he has to listen.
Yeah.
Because they are responsible for his protection of life and property, so they can garner information about his safety, so he has to obey. So you cannot want not to be led and at the same time want to be protected and to be provided for. It's hallucination. So now you have another society which don't believe in that. The egalitarian society in Sweden and the rest. So now what do you say about that? That's why that brings us to bear about how morality is very relative. But now I'm giving you a natural propensity. And this egalitarian society started not more than 100 years ago. So that means it wasn't as it is. It was altered due to social construct.
Yeah, that's very true. I wanted to ask a question because in the first discussion we had with other guests,
yes,
we had this argument about morality. But from your definition, earlier you mentioned that only two things are absolute across all cultures, traditions, religion, and what have you.
Yeah.
Only two things, which is murder and theft. They are absolute in all these disparities. So the question was, how do you know that someone is morally right? How do you understand that what this guy does is morally right?
That's why I said it's a philosophy that deals with character, behavior, norms, and values of a people. If the people say the man must be the one to go to farm and bring food to his family, and the man stopped doing that, automatically it's morally wrong. He's not morally right. Do you get what I'm saying? No. Now,
what you're saying is it depends on the society.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why I told you now, like over a period of time. If you say, do you know how many wrongs in Islam are actually right? Do you know how many wrongs in Judaism are actually right in Islam? Do you know how many wrongs in Hinduism is actually right in Christianity?
You choke.
Do you get it? So it varies. And let me tell you something. There's a behavioral pattern. I talk about behavior. There's a behavioral pattern that cuts across everything. When you see a soldier behaving in a certain way, it doesn't matter whether he's an Indian, whether he's a Nigerian, whether he's a Gambian, you know that he's a soldier. When you see a priest behaving in a certain way, it doesn't matter. When you see a Muslim, there is a behavioral pattern that has to do with Muslims. Whether they're this or that. There are behavioral patterns that has to do with Christians. There are behavioral patterns that has to do with male and female. It doesn't care whether you are in China, whether you're in this, where you're in that. There is a behavioral pattern. So that's why we talk about behavior as what encompasses morality. Then you talk about character, and character now has to do with individual. Do you understand?
So, where do you place hookup?
Okay.
Since it doesn't fall under murder or theft,
Good.
how do you place it?
Okay. The reason why I said it doesn't fall under is that there are cultures in Germany today, in Netherlands today, that have accepted it as a norm. It's legalized. There are countries that prostitution is legal. Do you understand? Before something becomes legal, there is high consent to it by the populace because they have a representative that makes up law.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So once something becomes legal, presumably it is already accepted by the people.
Okay.
Do you get it? So now like this, in Nigeria, for example, is very, very morally wrong because Nigeria has not legalized prostitution. Prostitution till today in Nigeria is illegal. And religious homes and everything have actually condemned hookup. Do you get it? Because hookup involves offering sex for money. And that is prostitution. That's why I said it's a deodorized name for prostitution.
But we do have certain areas or places in states across Nigeria where you go, you find those people doing prostitution there. Why is it allowed?
Of course. Let me ask you something. Is stealing not illegal in Nigeria? But are those people who make the law not stealing? No. You get what I'm saying?
He has said something about the mechanism to checkmate
it.
So how do you checkmate it?
That is what I'm saying.
They have physical places where they do carry out these activities.
Yes.
So I think it's easier to checkmate.
Let me tell you something.
Based on that, it's easier.
No, there is what we call law of demand and supply.
Okay.
If you don't cut off demand, believe you me, there will always be supply. So this is where men comes in now.
So
truly.
Men should stop demanding.
Of course.
How will men stop this?
Now you see.
How is that being stopped?
Now you see where I'm coming. That's why I said this is where families and religious institutions can come in.
Yeah, everybody has a role to play.
That's why I said this is where religious and families can come in to checkmate this.
Yes, the question I asked you earlier on, does the family carry the larger percentage of blame when a child goes wayward? I asked you that question.
Individual? No,
I asked you that question. Now I'm relating it to those three things you mentioned. You mentioned family, you mentioned the person himself or herself, and you also mentioned the society.
Yes.
So among these three, which one should carry the larger blame?
Okay. There is difference between how the world is and how the world should be. Do you get it? Now, how it is, parents often get the blame. But how it is, actually, it is not. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is that if you understand parenthood, there is no single father or mother that wants his child to be wayward.
I've said that the other day too.
Even a thief will not want his child to
be a thief. Do you understand? He always cautions you.
It depends.
Let me tell you something. No, I'm talking about property, not.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. I don't want to be gender biased. I don't want to be like I'm hampering on women while giving soft landing to men. No, I'm not like that. When men are actually in front run of wrong things, I have to call it out. Now, let's be realistic. 98 to 99% of kidnappers are men. 98 to 99% of bandits are men.
Absolutely.
98 to 99% of armed robbers. Call it what of you?
Yahoo boys. Even Yahoo boys.
Do you understand? Even cybercrime are men.
There is no Yahoo girl.
Yeah, but
No,
that's what I'm saying.
no, the percentage.
Do you
If you
understand?
look-
So
look at it.
what am
Okay.
I?
There
What
might
am
be a few, but
yes.
just a handful.
Now. You see.
Okay.
You see. This is me being blunt here.
Mm.
It's man. But do you know something? Do you know what is funny again?
Mm.
98% of men are not kidnappers. 98% of men are not armed robbers. Some
You
even
mean the total
Yes,
number of men?
on earth.
Yeah.
98% of them are not armed robbers.
Can you give us an approximate?
Hmm?
Approximate.
Now let's be realistic. How do you, if you do statistic, you already know how percentage is being driven at.
Mm.
It's from a saturated sample. When you have 8
Sample size.
yes, 10 sample size, when 10 reoccur in 10
Different.
places, 8 different places out of 10, that's 80%. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So you can't go about saying you have to interview 5 billion men to have your own statistic.
Mm.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. Do you have an approximate value from maybe a simple sample set statistics
That's why I give you
for? Okay, let's say you were mentioning 99%
of men
are
being,
not kidnappers.
I'm coming. I'm talking
Okay.
about men entirely
Mm.
being kidnappers. Like 98% of the people who are kidnappers
Okay.
are men, but
Mhm.
98% of the men on earth are not kidnappers. Do you get the two different
Yeah,
things
I
I'm trying to
understand.
say?
Then I'm trying to say, can you give us an approximate
Number.
percentage of men that are not involved in kidnapping?
That's why
is
I
the
said the 98.
That
now.
is the 98%.
So only 2%.
Of the men are actually kidnappers.
Kidnappers.
Even less
Not
than
even up
Okay.
to that.
It's not even up to that.
Not
Some even said
up
it's
to that.
0.00
Yeah.
something percent. But now,
It can't be
but
up
let
to
me
that.
ask something. But do you know that?
There
but do you know
are
that?
some
But do you know
systematic
that?
kidnapping.
But do you know that? But do you know that when you're trying to when you're trying to blame, you blame men for being kidnappers. When less than 1% are kidnappers.
Now I understand your point. It means the figures or the numbers of men that are into kidnapping is negligible.
Very like
It
this.
shouldn't be attached to gender since it's negligible.
But you have to take responsibility of it, since 98% of people doing it are the ones doing it. So now the same thing with prostitution. Now there are male who are into prostitution, but how many are they?
Fact.
Do you know any?
Go to Abuja and see. Very, in fact, there are. Do you get it? You see them. They camouflage as gym instructors. Sorry, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't say they are. I just said some camouflage. But
I have seen. There was a guy. There was a guy. I saw him on Instagram.
yes,
Do you know what the guy does? He's been booked for
Yes.
parties.
yes, come around.
And then he comes like almost naked,
Yes,
and then he'll be dancing.
dancing. Yes, Paul
Like
Beer
a
dance.
stripper.
Yeah, like a Paul Beer
Head
dancer.
up.
There are
He
male
had-
strippers.
Hmm.
I don't know if I should call that
Yes,
guy a stripper,
stripper.
but it's almost like a stripper. But then there's a lot of ladies around,
Hmm.
and then he'll be dancing and
No.
Yeah, I think I've seen something like that. Mostly, his clients are women that
Yes.
maybe they just left a relationship or they are just divorced. They just want
some
to
of them maybe
experience
about to
wild-
get married. Some of them about to get married. You know,
Yeah.
there's this thing they do now. Maybe
the
Yeah,
last
I get-
dance.
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And there are chances of behind the scene acts.
Yes,
is
if
not
they
on
can
tape.
show you that,
Mm.
Which
they
is
can
not
show-
on tape.
Yeah.
if they can show you that, you
Yeah.
can imagine what they are not showing.
Yeah. So now, basically, now you get what I'm coming.
Yeah.
Then, but naturally, human beings are always attached to only the positive. Now, let me tell you something. If I come and tell you that women have higher chances of not being held accountable or not being responsible for financial what of you. The next thing you hear is not all men, women. There are some women that do this, because I give a negative treat. But if I say women have high sense of empathy, they are great people, they are nice, they are soft, you never see anyone come and tell me, no. It's just some. There are some women that are very cruel.
Yeah, everybody loves to take the positive.
The positive. Now, if I tell you some men are like this is what men do, you definitely say it's not all men that do this. But if I tell you men are very responsible people, they cater for their family, they go extra length, but it's all men. There are some that are very wayward on the street.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to make you understand that the human mind actually rolls about what gives it emotional satisfaction, regardless of whether it's a tribe, whether it's the same thing if you say about a tribe or about a race or about a religion. If you just name one negative trait, there will be cancel culture maniacs coming around you to ensure that this thing doesn't sell or doesn't prevail. Whereas in reality, you already know it's a recurring decimal.
I know we've talked about hookup and how it cannot completely be stopped.
Yes.
But there's a way we can actually find a way to relax it and then deal with it in a way which you said it could start from family and then find a way to control people that actually demand for it.
Yes.
So, but then another problem is internet fraud. We were not like this.
Yes.
Nigeria was not like this.
Yes.
20 years ago, 30 years ago. It seems like it is increasing by the day.
Yeah.
What could be the possible reason for that? And then how can we as a people deal with this?
Okay. Let me see. Internet fraud actually is a broad ban. I like it as you call it, internet
we
fraud.
should cancel internet in Nigeria.
No. It doesn't work. If you cancel internet, it's like you've cancelled the whole world,
we'll
whole
go back
nation.
to 419.
Because the truth is that financially we're connected. So if you cancel the internet, how will you run the finance of Nigeria now? It's going to crash.
No, that can be done.
That can be done. Like it's good that you call it a fraud and it's a crime. There is an act that established cybersecurity in Nigeria. There is an act that established law of privacy in Nigeria. We all know this.
Yeah.
So you contravening on it has its own penalties. So it's already a crime. We shouldn't mind what in saying it. It's already a crime. Now, like you said, what the problem is, have the people engaging in it even accepted it that it's a crime?
But a lot of them, a very large number of them will not accept that it's a crime.
I'm not
they
negating
justification for what they're doing.
I'm not even negating the fact that ignorance of the law is an excuse. No, it's
not at all.
It's never an excuse.
Your mic. Up. Yeah.
It is not at all.
Ignorance of the law is never an excuse, and it shouldn't be an excused in any way. But what I want the reason why I said is to understand the magnitude of the problem at hand. That they don't even acknowledge that it's even a crime. So there is a lot of orientation that needs to be done about this from the grassroots level, from schools, from churches, from mosques, from community, to let there be sensitization about the dangers of it entirely, the negative name it brings to the country, to the negativity entirely around cybercrime itself should be something that should be very appalling.
Should be discouraged.
Should be discouraged.
At every level.
Now, let me tell you something. If there is no reward system for what is moral, there is high encouragement for what is amoral. Imagine somebody who won national sports festival, who won mathematics competition, being given 100,000 for it. A first class student being shown giving 100,000 for it. Then some people who are sleeping naked on national TV are rewarded in millions. That should tell you something. That our value system needs a total overhaul.
Actually.
that people who are actually doing superb things should be ambassadors. Let people who are doing impactful things in the society be the ones to come on front of TV to talk to children. Then there's what we call burden of expectations. Burden of expectation that stems from stories that are not average. When we tell children in our classroom about stories of Michael Phelps, stories of Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, not everybody can be Elon Musk.
True.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
We must tell them, the average man, that you need to do this, go to school, you can be this, you can be that, you can also pick to be president, and at the same time, you can also be a classroom teacher.
And it's cool to be.
It's cool to be. So then there will be less burden of expectation. So when he becomes one to be a classroom teacher, he won't see himself as a failure.
Yeah.
So when he sees himself as a failure, the chances that in 2015 was the last time Bauchi state government had a complete employment, like an overhaul. That's 9 years ago. And between 9 years ago, how many chunks of graduates do we have at degree level that have served? Then you talk about down to NC level and monotechnics.
I can only imagine.
You can only imagine. So now, let's be realistic. How much can Abuja absorb all these stories from the 36 states? No. So that means federal government cannot carry this burden.
Yeah.
Now, the local government, if this is happening at the state level, ask yourself what's happening at the local
government. Yeah, because these things you have highlighted about individuals that are doing excellently well need to be rewarded. And then the ones that are doing not what we want,
yes,
but being rewarded so handsomely. These are some of these things are not done by the government.
Yes.
Sometimes corporate bodies, companies,
yes,
individuals.
Yes.
So there is a lot of work to be done, as you have said, about responsibility.
Yes.
So it's not about just the government doing this thing, because I can just imagine.
Yes. I'm even coming to that. I'm talking about the private
the government
sector
that is going to do everything.
yes. Now look at it now. Then you have a non-existent private sector. Like there is no company that employ 150 people in this town. So now you're very likely to end up working with a salary of 25,000 to 35,000 naira at the private level, and reflective of what is happening in the economy today. You already know what that means when you aggregate that earnings.
You're actually working for nothing.
Actually working. Transportation alone can consume that.
I'm just reflecting on what you said. There is no company in Bauchi that employs 150.
Yes. None.
Wow.
No.
150. 100.
Do you get it?
Just think about it.
That's like fact.
Yeah. So what?
Wow.
What this tells you is that we are a consumptive people. And last year 2000, Nigeria approximately has 120 million people. 2022, 224 million people. A 124 million people was added to a population in 24 years. Double of what it was since before independence. And it's the same crude oil that they are relying on, the 2 million. So automatically,
we have a seriously rapidly
growing population with a stagnant resources or even depleting resources.
Yeah.
So now, when you look at this now, there's what we call, when the room is stuffy, people will find their way out, even if there is no door.
Survival.
Yeah. That explains the quantity of people that are leaving the country.
The Japa syndrome.
Yes.
Do you get it? So now, if you have a population whereby your relevance and importance is only to cast the ballots, after 4 years you still cast the ballots, you should already you already know there will be a time whereby there might be a revolt against the system by these same people. Either they revolt physically or devise means of harming the institutions. One of which is this thing. I'm not justifying it, but I'm trying to give out the root cause of these things.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
We have to know where we were and how we got ourselves into this mess before we talk about possible solutions.
Yeah.
Because if we don't appreciate where we were, and we will not know the magnitude of the problem we are now.
Yeah.
So the past is a very, very important component of our lives that we should never, never neglect. If I know you with a criminal past, chances of me relating with you with a normal being who has no criminal past is less.
Definitely.
Regardless of how reformed you are.
Except you want to be careless.
Of which I will be.
Or we trust.
Yes. So until we appreciate this level of decay that is bringing up these things, believe you me, it's just the eyes of the tip-bug, including that issue of the hookup that we talk about and this Yahoo that we talk about. Let me tell you something. Economic problem supersedes morality. That's why America today is an ally of Saudi Arabia, despite their moral variance, their social variance. You know what brings them together? Economy, money. Money has a way of connecting two evils to be friends. You can see Putin and Kim Jong-un today becoming good allies. Why? They are trading in gas and oil. America is trading Saudi Arabia in arms and gas and oil. They take oil and gas from Saudi Arabia, they give them arms, and these arms is used to terrorize Yemen. Have you ever had anything human rights in Saudi Arabia? No, because there is flow of oil. So morality doesn't count in this. Morality doesn't count in business. I always tell people at larger aspect, they always kick morality aside.
What about ethics?
Good. That is where it counts. That's why I told him ethically driven societies. If they agree that, okay, now me and you give me this, you give me that. Now it's an ethics. They've already banned an ethics between the two of them. So if the only problem is when that ethics is broken, maybe I gave you 5 when we agreed it's going to be 10. So until we differentiate between ethics and morality, we'll always mix the two because they are two different things.
Yeah.
They're entirely different things entirely. So personally, I want to say it that categorically, like, this is the mess we are about cybercrime. Like I said it before, it's a crime and it should be treated as such. People who are into it, there's what we call immunity in law. When you know you can commit a crime and get away with it. Sorry, impunity, not immunity. I said impunity. There's impunity. So once the people who are into cybercrime know that they cannot be tracked, they cannot be arrested, there are weak institutions, they won't. And one of the major reasons is that Nigerian Police Service Commission released a data that there are 335,000 policemen in Nigeria to safeguard 240 something million. Now, do you know what is even more appalling? 122,000 of them are guarding VIPs of 18.
Almost half of them.
They are guarding VIPs. Governors, ministers, and senators, and the rest. So now, from Yalwa division here, take it down to Maraba Liman Katagu. That's the only police station. Down to Jerry. So these people have to safeguard Sabon Kaura, Yalwan Libra, this Jerry, this site here, Kagadama, down to Kafi, till you reach Maraban Liman Katagu. Is that possible? So what do you think will happen? Now, the only thing, law and order, that can happen is morality from household and families by telling their children, don't steal, don't kill. You get where it comes in now.
Yeah.
So this is the only how you can checkmate it now. Because on the reality, those state institutions cannot checkmate this crime because of paucity in number. They are too little. They are too little. You cannot effectively fight crime when you have small population of people fighting crime. So when you go to developed countries, you see policemen working on the street, they will ask you, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Is there any problem? Because they have manpower in it. So until we employ more policemen, more intelligence agency, I've even started giving out the possible way out when we've not even reached there.
Wow. It's actually a struggle.
Like, serious struggle.
Yes. So now
it's a long way to go.
It's a long way to go. So if you think,
But the fact that we haven't identified this problem, that is a bigger problem. Even we have to identify that there is a problem.
And acknowledge it.
And acknowledge it.
Yes.
What are the chances? What are the chances that someone involved in such kind of vices can actually change?
Well,
change.
Yes.
There's high chances of him changing when he has made it through the vices. But if he hasn't, he will be very motivated to continue.
Wow. What issues can I?
Do you get what I'm saying? So he wouldn't see the previous effort as waste. He'd be like saying,
No, a lot of them actually, I think they have this mindset of, I just want to hit one kind of money, then I'll go relax.
And you know one thing with money.
And when you hit it, you want to hit the next.
That's why I say you know one thing about money. You already know.
Because not everybody, not every one of them.
Yes.
Not every one of them can actually maybe hit it and then get to put the money into other places that will actually help them or sustain them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them just blow the money. So if you are that type, or more, you continue.
Yeah, and you know one thing with money is that anybody who earns money through his sweat will never undermine money.
Hardly do wrong investments.
Yes.
Do you think these guys don't sweat?
Compared to a bricklayer? No, I want to know. Compared to who?
I have heard that they actually pass through a lot. Some of them don't sleep.
No. Let me tell you something.
Some of them have to fake accent. Some of them have to learn accent.
Let's be realistic, bro. Let's be realistic. If this thing that they're doing is actually legitimate and not a crime, and you call it sweat, believe me, all of us are into it.
So the problem is
there's a lot of people that just enjoy committing crime.
Then that's psychopaths. Those are psychopaths.
What
they do it
they
for
say?
fun?
Yes, doing crime and illegality for fun.
Yeah, what they say don't do.
That's
what
it's
they
a
love
psychological
to do.
disorder, actually.
Okay. They need mental help.
There are people that actually enjoy doing evil entirely. We call them psychopaths, right? Like they derive fun doing what is wrong. Them, like if you say it is this, there is nothing that gives them joy than doing the contrary.
The Stay Wicked gang.
Can we shift a little blame to the government?
As a form of consolation.
Because things are actually not going the way we hope they would.
And
And can we say that there's a lot of kids that are actually involved in this form of crime because things are actually hard in the country right now? Because I can remember there was a time there was strike for a very long time.
yes.
A very long, like a year.
Yeah.
And then when kids now return to school,
Yes.
most of them are actually involved in this form of crime. So can we blame the government for that?
I think Mr. Isaac actually talked about that. He
Yes.
talked about economic problem. When the economy has problem, then there will be morality problem.
serious one. Let me tell you something. On like, let me hint up more on this. I think Nigerians don't seem to understand the intensity of the problems that is on ground. There is no country on earth that survives unemployment, inflation, high interest rate, and low purchasing power parity among the citizens. These 5 indices, believe you me, is a recipe for disaster. Now, we have an economy that is facing unemployment. At how many percent? Only government, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics will always tell you we have like 40-something% unemployment rate. But bro, me and you know, the
Bigger than
reality on
that.
ground.
Yeah.
The inflation rate,
It's much more than that.
the inflation rate is at 38%, 39%, and food inflation at 40-something%. A lot of people don't seem to understand how this percentage is being done. Like now, when VAT was at 5%, when it became 7.5, that's 50% increase in the VAT. But people will be like, no, it's 2.5. You know, an average person will think now it's just 2-point-something% that has been increased. That's 50% increase.
Yeah.
So if you increase it again to 10%, that's a 100% increase. So then you hear VAT is at 10%. But the increase is over 100%. The same thing now, you use the same indices for inflation. So you can see if something that was 7% now goes to 40%, how many hundreds were inside? So we have a problem of inflation. What can 10,000 naira now buy for you in a family of 4, family of 3, family of 2?
Almost nothing.
Almost nothing. Now, so people are very most likely, since they have data on their phone, they have access to the internet, they can do the unthinkable.
Yeah.
So until government addresses this issue, let me tell you something. Thomas Paine, the American Thomas Paine, one of the renowned atheists, said, the God you have is the government. Because that is whom you see. That's who regulates your activities. That what you're praying for is what the government provides for you.
Yeah.
So, as blasphemous as this may sound, you've been praying for better life, and now the government decided to make it worse by increasing fuel price. So, the better life you're praying is let the government bring these things down, and they are not doing it. So in reality, actually, what is even more funny is we are the people with one of the youngest population on earth. If we can add 140-something million from year 2000, that's to tell you we have over 180 million people that are less than 30 years.
Yeah.
So we have a very young population.
Productive age.
At productive age. But what is the productivity level? Where is the enabling environment to thrive? Believe me, Nigerians are hardworking people. The Nigerian youths are resilient people. I never agree with the notion that Nigerian youths are lazy. Look at the entertainment sector in Nigeria, how it has gone global with little or no government support.
Actually.
That's to tell you the versatility and the productivity of the Nigerian youth. So anybody who tries to make it like the Nigerian youth are lazy is not true. It's value chain. Create value chain in where agriculture. That's the truth. Agrochemicals to be sold at cheaper rate. Fertilizers should be sold at cheaper rates. Let gas, everything, so that tractors can work, let there be companies and whatever. So we are all into subsistence farming to just eat and survive. How long? So people have devised means, and because of the physique and body structure of our ladies, they cannot engage in this work. So what do? They have a God-given tool.
Or resources.
Yes, I provide these resources.
The resources.
To devise me out of the look. And do you know why? this thing thrives on the demand, the desire for pleasure of men. So somebody who suffered in this economy will still go look for hookup girl to spend the money on. That brings us to, until you cut off that demand, there will be supply. And once they know it's like drugs now. Once there is demand for drugs, believe me, no matter what you do, you still find drugs among people.
Yeah, actually.
If you know there is no demand, there wouldn't be supply. So I'm not absorbing our ladies of any blame. The economy is also good on them. Sorry.
It's not good.
It's not good on them. The economy is also hard on them. And because of their body structures, they cannot compete like men in terms of the hard jobs to do. They have also devised means of sustainability. It is wrong. But believe me, I told you, when economy is hard, morality comes very, 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 very less. It comes very, very less. And is this the teaching? No. Is this the norms? No. Is there any society that tells you to steal? No. But are we having thieves? Yes. So until we actually say gossiping is bad, but has it stopped gossiping? Have people stopped gossiping?
Nope.
We say backstabbing is bad, backbiting, all these things, sorcery, all these things are bad, but have people stopped? So we should go beyond the rhetorics that this thing is actually bad to actually take the bull by the horn and fight this thing head on. And these are the practical examples that I've laid on so many aspects, from the government role, the family role, individual role, and the collective role of the society. Like if there is a rapist now, there is high likelihood of him to be shielded because he's my brother. There's high likelihood for that person to go away with it because he's my husband. You see a small girl being molested in that house, a house out of you. The woman knows it, but she doesn't want her husband to be seen on TV. And he will go scot-free. Do you understand? So we know these criminals, but because we are either benefiting from them or we don't want them to stain our name, so we are not helping the government in one way or the other in giving out information on how to track them. So we have also a blame on this.
So at the end of the day, everybody has a role to play.
Exactly.
It has to be a collective effort.
Exactly, bro. Exactly, bro.
Wow, thank you very much for this wonderful discourse.
Well, it's always a pleasure.
It's enlightening. Like, I'm very sure that a lot of people are going to benefit from this.
Thank you.
So before we go, Josh, what do you have to say? What are your final words for the Nigerian people?
I think Mr. Isaac have actually said everything, and it's down for us to take it from here, especially the Nigerian government and we the youth. We should take it from here. It is our own responsibilities to withhold our own values, what we believe in, the ethics and our morals, in order for us to have a better society going forward.
All right. One of the biggest thing I've taken from all of this, it's a better society is a society that is driven ethically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then we should also understand that morality is relative.
Yes.
It's not
absolute.
It's not absolute to any particular or to every other places. It has to be what is moral here might not be moral in other places. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure always having great minds to talk about things. And September 30th, I'm exiting the teenagers.
Yeah.